Hey guys, Chad here. Couple things to go over real quick. I'm gonna do a quick unboxing here of some resin bases I ended up buying, and also gonna talk about Black Templars real quick. Don't plan on this video being too long, so let's go ahead and get through this. The discussion about the Black Templars is going to actually be a response to Chung from WGConsortium. So I know he had asked the guys in the community to kind of give some feedback on the various armies out there, so I'm finally getting around to that. So anyways, here's some resin bases I picked up, and the reason I'm going over these is because these are going to be used on my Black Templars. So they're just some basic kind of crumbled building ruin type bases. We got 5 of the medium 40 mil, and then a handful of the smaller ones as well, but just following the same theme. Actually, I picked these up from a company called Dragon Forge Design. Looks like it happens to be out of Cincinnati, Ohio too. At least that's where they shipped from. So I'm going to use those, and those are going to be used on these guys. These are, I did a video on the one dragging around the Aquila already, but then I also have one carrying around a banner here. These are all actually relics. The Aquila, the banner tapestries here, and then this guy here is actually carrying water left from I can't remember the actual fluff story behind it. It's been a while since I read it, but I'm gonna rebase these, as well as this is actually Grimaldus's retinue, so I still need to paint him up. Get all 4 of them on the new resin bases, get those painted up as well, and then I'll do a display video for those. So a little bit about the Black Templars here. I went through this a little bit tonight to get an idea, some things I wanted to mention on, what kind of appealed to me about the Black Templars and why I chose them to play. For anybody that's newer to the channel and might not have seen some of my beginning videos, I've actually only been in the hobby and the game since September 2010, so we're going on maybe about 4 months now. But basically, I ended up going with the Black Templars. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs from the codex here. Hopefully that's not too much of an issue with copyright. I mean, I know it is copyright material, but I'm the one reading it, so. But one of the things that I liked about it was their fluff, obviously. If it was just the army itself, I probably would have just went with regular Space Marines. But I wanted to do something a little different. So I was kind of looking through some Black Templar stuff online, as well as kind of leafing through the codex and stuff as I was looking at some armies to try to decide what I wanted. So one of the things mentioned in the codex here is basically the second founding, and the I believe it was the Imperial Fist that was basically had 2 branch offs, which ended up being, I think it was the Crimson Fist and the Black Templars. And obviously the Black Templars is the army I chose, so they were basically brought apart from I think it was Rogel Dorn from the Imperial Fists. But Sigismund was the first High Marshal of the Black Templars. Going through some of the other stuff that it talks about here. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, here's what I wanted to go over real quick with you guys. Each crusade of the Black Templars continues the first mission of the Space Marines, actively seeking out the enemies of the Emperor and destroying them before moving onwards to find the next foe to be wiped out from his sight. All Space Marines are renowned for their fervent dedication, but the extremity of the Black Templars' faith is often described as fanatical. And that's actually one of the best descriptions I always give people, is I basically play fanatical Space Marines. One of the other things it says they lust to crush the enemies of mankind and profess absolutely no tolerance for heretics, mutants, warlocks, aliens, or any other abomination against the Emperor. For this reason, the Black Templars have no librarians. Their mistrust of the power of the warp extending to their own numbers, for no Black Templar would fight alongside a witch. You know, again, it's just fluff, but you know, it was different than the other type of armies, so it appealed to me. Another thing I wanted to go over is the scout system in the Black Templars. You know, they don't act as most of the other Space Marine armies with scouts, where scouts are basically just another average unit that serves a role. I know a lot of you guys, you know, say the scouts are worthless and whatnot, but in the armies themselves, you know, they have a specific role. Now, in the Black Templars, the scouts are actually neophytes, which is basically the entry level into the Black Templar army. As they prove themselves, you know, worthy of the army and, you know, the faith in the Emperor, you know, then they become initiates and, you know, then proceed forth through the ranks, as long as they stay alive, obviously. One of the other things is the Sword Brethren. To me, this is one of the coolest looking Space Marine armies units that I've seen. Unfortunately, I personally have not bought any of the models for them yet, so I don't have a squad of them. So that's going to be one of the purchases this year, is I'm going to finally get a Sword Brethren squad together. Codex just goes through some of the various unit types here. Another cool aspect to me in the army is the Righteous Zeal, which, long story short, basically as you are taking fire, ranged attacks, as you lose units of that squad, you take a leadership test. If you pass that leadership test, you basically get to make a consolidation move toward the nearest enemy. So I thought that was really cool. Basically, you know, my guys are getting killed and their you know, fellow soldiers next to them get so angry that they basically rush toward the enemy, which was really cool to me. Then there's the Vows. Again, I thought was really cool. There's always debate on which one works best. It's hard for me to debate army builds because there's so much that goes into it. You know, granted, you want to make a balanced army list if you're playing in a lot of tournaments, but if you're playing at local shops or with buddies, and you know, it might not be competitive builds as much, it's hard to say, you know, pick this over this, because unless you know what the other person's going to be fielding as well, it's hard to tell somebody what to take. But in essence, Vows are basically, you know, abilities that, you know, enhance, affect, buff, whatever you want to call it, your entire army, which to me again was just really cool. Not going to go over too many of the independent different units in the army, but two more that I like. One kind of falls short, but I still think it's an awesome unit as far as fluff and whatnot. But TV just kicked on, so hopefully you guys aren't going to hear that too much. But basically the commanders, either the Marshal or the Castellan, as long as they're on the table, your entire army can use their leadership for leadership tests, which obviously is going to be higher than a lot of the other units. Then also there's the Emperor's Champion, which again, you know, the fluff basically dictates that, you know, this is your ultimate warrior as a Black Templar, and he's out there basically to challenge, you know, the other leaders of armies one-on-one and destroy them. Unfortunately, he's not quite that powerful. He's a little lacking, you know, only has 2 wounds. He does have initiative 5, but I've come to kind of realize that if he's going toe-to-toe, I'm basically using him just to slow somebody else down while other units are doing things. So he doesn't last very long when he's going toe-to-toe with a lot of other characters in other armies. I already mentioned the Sword Brethren. The only other thing I'll actually mention is the Land Raider Crusader. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Land Raider. The fluff behind the Black Templars and the Land Raider Crusader is that the Black Templar was the first army to utilize the Land Raider Crusader. So again, just more fluff that kind of, appeals to me and helped me make my decision on playing the Black Templars. Also the fact that at my shop, when I started getting into it, there's only one other Black Templar player, which he was no longer playing his army. He had switched to Chaos Space Marines. So I wanted to be something different. Sure, I could have went Space Wolves or Blood Angels or Imperial Guard or some of the other stronger, more competitive builds. But again, I tried not to get too caught up in what people consider competitive builds, simply because, as I mentioned, that's relative to the level of players that you're going up against. Yeah, to me, I get beat at my shop a lot because there is a lot of competitors down there. They compete in tournaments regularly, but they're not over competitive where, they've got the gamer rage going on. Everybody gets frustrated with their dice rolling from time to time, or, they get mad at themselves for making stupid mistakes. But all in all, everybody down there seems like they're just down there to have a good time. It's fun. Win or lose, people are usually, unless they're in a hurry, they got places to go. Usually everybody's up to, jump right back into another game, either with the same person or somebody else. Try the hand at, the same builds, army versus army, or mix something up and, see what might work better for you the second time around. So all in all, the Black Templars, to me, their fluff, how their army looks, again, I think the black, the white, and the red just kind of really pops out. This is a Rhino that I started working on. I had if you guys saw my 2011 update video, I had all of my vehicles base coated in black already, and I started getting some of the white done this week as well. So most of the airbrushing's just about done, which is how I did all this, and now it's about time to start doing some of the details. I want to hardline the edges with some couple shades of gray. Again, just try to make it pop. One of the things that kind of bothered me after a while, making several squads of my Black Templars, basically when I started hitting about 1250 to 1500 points, a lot of my army just looked like a black blob going across the table, which isn't what I was wanting. Granted, again, I'm new to the painting, so I don't have a lot of skill to get things done, especially seeing all the videos on YouTube of the guys painting, and the girls, of course. But I've come a long way just in the few months that I've been doing it. I learn a lot from everybody in the community, so I keep trying different things. So that's basically it in a nutshell. I got to get my resin bases cleaned up, get them based onto Grimaldus's retinue and himself, get him painted, and get rolling on things. So thanks for watching, guys. If you got any other questions about Black Templars, feel free to drop me a comment, PM me, anything you want. Just let me know. If you guys get a chance, swing over to 40knation.com and join us on the forums there too. There's a lot of interesting discussions going on. We also hang out on TeamSpeak, usually nightly. I try to show up at least every other night. We all have lives, so we're not always there all the time. And we've also started a live section. If you go to 40knation.com, on the toolbar at the top on the far right is a live button, and a lot of us, as we're working on our models, painting, putting them together, whatever it may be, we've started a tiny chat area where we're basically setting up our webcams and kind of just letting people watch as we're doing things, which is kind of neat. We've actually had a couple sessions with a few people on there. Last night I think we had 6 people on there, which was cool. A lot of discussions going on, and people just kind of seeing what me and Justin from Two Smoking Bolters were working on. So a lot of fun, guys. Hopefully see you around, and thanks for watching.